Chapter 16. Drids. Meanwhile, all those suns ago, at the mysterious, forbidden, sacred, and unexplored Anvil Chain Mountains, the clan walked cautiously deeper into the beautiful forest. Flowers bobbed their heads, birds sang in the trees. A few Darren Hart moseyed across their path. Many of the clan had never seen such a majestic creature. They stood taller than them, their horns pure white, their forelegs muscular and strong. They had long faces with blue sky eyes. They seemed to be talking to each other in a strange rhythmic sound. They grazed, hardly taking any notice of the Tians. They sauntered away between the silver trees and became hidden by them. The fresh, warm, wispy wind swirled around the remaining clan, and they began to feel refreshed. They gathered in a large clearing, and the sun shone through the gently swaying trees. Their leaves seemed to sing in the breeze as it ran through them. The air seemed scented and much fresher. Some were breathing better. Some seemed to relax, not so disturbed by the anvil chain. They noticed that the sun seemed warmer in the forest. The remnants of the trudge had been so cold. Some sat on the warm grass, others stood talking, wringing their hands. "Well, what do we do now? We know we shouldn't be here in this woodland. Where do we start? We're going to die if they come. We're all so weak from the trudge. How can we survive?" They all spoke at the same time, all worried they would be stricken down by ailments or the Drids. A young man named Eros Warb held up his hand and spoke to them. "We must make it to the mountain before the next moon. Snow is coming, and we know what that means." "What?" came a voice from the small clan crowd. "You've never seen snow. It's just an old tale from long ago. There can be no truth to the tale. Fire from water, that's a myth." "You're right. It's just an old maid's tale to frighten the children so that they'll come when called. But what if they're true? Why did they not kill us when they had the chance? That fiend of a director knows what happens here. He left us here to die. But if we go to the mountain and find caves, we can live." The voice came forward. She was young and strong like Eros, but right now she was a bedraggled wretch. "Okay, do you know where the mountain is? All I see is trees." Her breath was laboured, and she stood in rags that covered almost nothing. As she spoke, standing shakily on skinny legs, two figures appeared at the edge of the clearing. They stood taller than the clan, and they were dressed in long, flowing garments made from the vines, their heads covered in a leaf hat. They each had a bow strapped to their backs and a long blue sword sheathed in a clear scabbard. One of them held up his hand. His fingers were long and his palm wide. He spoke to the clan, but they didn't understand his words. The figure floated towards the clan. It took off its hat, and its head seemed to be transparent, like looking into water. Then the other floated towards the clan. The first figure then began to change. Its face changed, and he was like them. His long hair was red, his face long and bony, his eyes as green as the grass. She manifested into a beautiful old woman with long, stark white hair. "Who are you? Why are you here in the anvil?" He spoke in old clan tongue. Eris could speak a little of the old clan words, and he explained to him of their tragedy and their journey. "We would never have come to the anvil uninvited. We know we would not be welcome, but we had no choice." The figure didn't answer him. He took a leather flask from his belt, drinking some of the liquid. "Drink this, you will all feel better for it." They passed it around, each taking a mouthful of liquid, which was almost sweet, and in seconds, after drinking from the crooker, they all felt full and not hungry. "Come, we must hurry. The snow is coming." Eris looked over to her. "Told you." The clan followed the two figures for the rest of the day and into the night. The forest, even though it was night, seemed to shine as though the trees held the light from the sun. As the day broke and the sun shone, they came to the slopes of the Anvil Chain Mountain. "Rest for a while. I'll go and make it safe for you," he said, looking at him. He nodded. He said. She looked at him, and he nodded. She turned to the clan. "He will be a while, but he will come. Beatrice, your journey has been hard, but from now on you will have a good long life here in the anvil. And my name is Kinmur, and he is Said Hoon. We are Drids." "The drink he gave us, what is it?" "It's a fortifying drink made from the sap of the Turim tree and the juice of the Zalmor pumpkin. We call it Turmorkin." Sedhun returned in the afternoon, the sun dimming behind the rolling dark clouds. "It is safe. We can go to the caves on the north side. Follow me closely. The snow has started on the edge of the forest." They took a worn path up the mountain, passing strange objects, some made of wood and stone, hanging on thin vine, jangling in the breeze. "These are the warnings. If you are not from here and have no permission, you will surely die," said Spoken Clan again, as he changed into the watery look he had before. The climb became harder the further up the mountain they trekked. The path became smaller, the bends around the mountain became tighter. They had to press against the rock face and not look down. Large hawks with 4 huge wings flew close to them as they scraped around the anvil. The clan moved higher up the mountain, many with no shoes, their feet hardened by the trudge. As the sun was setting, they saw the caves on the north side. 4 of them were massive. They would have held all the original clan. Over the next few days, the snow came. It ran in circles in a heavy wind, lifting back up to the dark sky, then turning down, settling in huge drifts. The clan had never seen snow, and they had heard the stories, but as it fell, it gathered a drift in front of the cave, Eros told him to stay back, but one of the men, one of the Tians, ventured out. As it fell, it gathered. As it fell, it gathered a drift in front of the cave. Eros told him to stay back, but one of the Tians ventured out, picking up a handful of snow. He screamed in pain, his hand burnt, and then the burn travelling up his arm burst into flames onto his body, and in seconds he was engulfed in fire. No one else dared go near the entrance of the cave. The storm passed, the snow melted away, even though the day was cool, no sun shone. A party of Druids came bringing them food, mostly roots and vegetables. Druids bought a peep of chickens and a trip of goats and a drove of sheep. They had enough food for 30 suns. A small waterfall ran at the side of the cave. Over time it had formed a pool 30 feet across and 10 feet deep, which overflowed, running down into the rocks, then disappearing, only to appear again as a meandering stream in the forest. The clan made their home in the caves. Over the years, they tunnelled into the adjoining caves, making their home now as large as the capital. Fur Ankh, a tall, skinny Tian, made a rope from strong green vines. He used it to make a funicular from the forest to the caves on the Anvil Mountain, and he did it alone. Well, we can't keep struggling down the damn mountain pass. It's much too dangerous. If we fall, we die. Druids don't. Over a few years, they lived a peaceful life until one morning. One Druid named Hax Rocks, a giant of a Druid, came to see them. He carried an axe, and on his vine belt sat a blue sword. Many different souls are coming into the forest, and we need you to help us send them away. Without hesitation, the clan all followed him down the old track. They saw an army coming through the forest. It was from the executive. They had decided to take over the Anvil Mountain. The Druids had made traps for them. As the clan watched, they saw soldiers fly through the air, then being pierced by the arrows of the Druids, who the soldiers couldn't see. Said split the clan men into 2 groups, and he told them, "You clan, go to the big rocks and stand so they can see you." He turned to the others. "You clan, run towards the mountain on this small track through the forest. As you reach the brambles and bushes, go to the sun side of the mountain and hide in the small valley till you hear me call." He told them to stand ready. The soldiers came into view. Sed lifted his bow. The line of clan began to shout, running towards the mountain. The soldiers saw them and charged headlong through the small track and into the briar and brambles. The clan ran to the rocks at the base of the mountain. The soldiers saw they were standing amongst the rocks. "Charge!" was the sound from the director, holding up his new sword. The soldiers were in a frenzy, knowing they had the clan at their mercy, and they spread out, not bothering with the small track, but charging at full tilt through the bushes, slicing with their swords. A small clearing helped them on, running, charging, sweating, screaming like banshees. Then, as they came through the last of the bushes, they found the cliff face dropped away at a terrible angle. They couldn't stop. Some slowed, but others crashed into them. 160 troops toppled over the edge of the mighty gorge. The battle raged inside the forest. The director was incensed at losing his men. He jumped down from his chariot into the hand-to-hand fighting. Eros saw him. He'd been practicing with a bow that Kin Murd made for him. His aim was only fair. He pulled an arrow from the quiver. The director was an accomplished sword. 4 Drids had fallen, and Eros took aim. The arrow made a high-pitched shriek, and the director heard the piercing sound. He turned, and the arrow flew. He only heard the shriek, and then he felt nothing. It had shot him through his lightweight cataphract. The arrow was made of unbreakable thin blue stone. The director, wounded, struggling to his feet, the arrow sticking through his chest and out through his back. He staggered towards Eros, lifting his right arm. He threw his sword at him. It somersaulted across the battleground, missing trees as it dashed towards Eros. Sed saw the sword, and he leapt into the air 10 feet above the fray. He caught the sword in his leafed hat. The force of the sword spun him around, and he fell on top of the battle. 2 of the soldiers stabbed him, but only his green cloak was there. Sed had melted into the forest floor, only to rise a few feet away with the sword pointed at the soldiers. They saw him as he really was, a shimmering, glassy water. They turned and ran, pushing and shoving to get away. The director tried to climb onto his chariot, but Eros was there. "You've come too many times to the anvil." The battle noise dimmed to only a soft breeze running through the trees. "You and the executive have decimated a nation, and now you'll pay for your crimes." Eros lifted the director up with one hand, throwing him into a small pasture. Eros was amazed to see it snowing. The director stood up, the blue arrow still through him, and he turned to Eros. "They will send more armies, and you will die. Your clan will be finished." The director looked up at the falling snow. "Ha ha! Old wives' tales." The snow gathered around him, and only him, building up to his waist. He tried to kick free, but the snow was like candy floss sticking to his clothes. Then it found his skin. First, he looked quizzically at it, settling on him. Then he screamed, and then it gathered up his arm, and then it was flame, and the director screamed for the rest of the day, slowly burning into dust. It was then that the Drid army arrived in force. Their call was as birds chirping. The Drids in the battle feigned death, sinking as Sed had done into the forest floor, only to rise again as a pillar of glassy water. Then the blue stone arrows took care of the rest of the director's men.